But Billy Gill is here, and not unlike Jalen Rose, it's important that we interview him in a way that is a little bit of interrogation, because I saw the shame on his face when he threw the first pitch. When he threw the first pitch, I saw that you looked and felt he's off today. It's a work from home day, but we're bringing him in as a correspondent on honorary first pitches to shed some light. Can you shed some light on what happened with your FIU first pitch? I saw that you were throwing a lot of warm-ups. You were getting coaching from Chris Cody, and you seemed really disappointed by the results.
Pause up, Dan. I don't know if that's how I would phrase what happened. I'd say that yesterday was, an incredible success. It was a glorious, it wasn't homecoming per se, because it wasn't, like an official homecoming game. It was a rivalry game between my FIU Panthers and those dreaded University of Miami Hurricanes from across town. And they invited me to come, and they said, hey, would you like to throw out the first pitch? I said, absolutely. How can I say no to going back home to FIU, a place that helped raise and form me to the man that I am today? Dan, before we get to the first pitch, I'd also just like to say thank you to Dr. Jessel, the school president. Incredible. We spent a lot of time with him. I don't really
want an acceptance speech. I want to chronicle how disappointed you look when the ball left your hand.
Especially as you're reading it off a sheet. You don't even know the guy's name off the top of your
head.
I
absolutely do. We spent like 3 innings together. I was invited into the athletic director's box during the game. Scott Carr, incredible man. He's rebuilding that program.
You're filibustering to avoid. Okay, we can talk about FIU. Let's do that another day. FIU baseball and celebrating FIU. Let's talk about how disappointed you looked. Chris Cody, what were your thoughts when you saw the pitch? Because I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine. I didn't think he should be disappointed by it.
I thought everything leading up to it, he looked the part. Like his form was good. He did the hop over the line. He just, he had a good energy towards all the players. All the warm-up stuff looked good. He had a guy catching for him. He didn't bring a glove. I told him it's like a weird move to bring a glove.
Billy, what made you go with the sinker ball there? Like, did you choose to throw the sinker as your first pitch, or did that just come out of your hand weird? Like, what happened there? Because we're looking at the video, and it didn't actually hit the dirt. The catcher did a lot to save you there.
Right. It's not in the real-time video, it looks like a short hop. The guy catches it in the air. Technically not a short hop. Better than I thought, but I think he did well, man.
Great sinker, low and outside.
He went from the top of the mound. A lot of people go from the front of the mound. I give Billy a good 7.8. I thought he looked the part.
Wait a second. Who's got the best first pitch for us that were?
George W.
Yeah.
Was it that good?
Oh, dude, are you kidding me? A little two-seamer?
It was a strike.
Two-seamer working
no longer
back.
American. Get out of here.
It was a good
with a bulletproof vest on.
It was a good first pitch. I will not have you blaspheme against it and bring politics into this. I won't allow you to do it.
God forbid anyone bring politics into the conversation about the former president of the United States.
We're talking about a first pitch here.
I watch that every 4th of July.
Hell yeah.
That and Lex Luger body slamming Yokozuna.
Tony, what would you give it a 7.8?
I would not, Dan. I would give that. See, you have to look at the warm up too, because I was looking at the warm up videos. Billy looked like a quarterback that has his wide receiver catch the ball for him and then give him the ball. So Billy didn't have any glove with him. They were playing catch, and another guy was playing catch with him and then would toss Billy the ball. And then Billy would kind of throw haphazardly back the other way. I needed Billy really like throwing him out there, throwing seeds at the catcher back there to get his arm really ramped up for that first pitch. But he wasn't doing it. So I'd probably give it like a 5.9 maybe.
Billy, what's your assessment?
I think it went okay. I mean, before I went out onto the field, I talked to head coach Rich Whitten, and he said, hey, you should throw it as hard as you can. And I said, I'm not going to be doing that, coach. I'm going to be going up to the mound, and I'm just going to try to get it in there. You know what I mean? The only goal is not to bounce it. Now, beforehand, I had practiced. I went over. My dad insisted that I practice, so I went over to his house beforehand, and I have a bucket of baseballs in my trunk at all times for whatever reason. We threw about 3 or 4 buckets of practice throws. He measured out the distance. We couldn't account for the mound height. He tried to. He put 2 blocks of wood. He said it was 10 inches, so he wanted me to stand on the blocks of wood, old fence posts. And I said, I'm not going to be doing that because knowing me, I'll probably sprain my ankle before the pitch, and I need to make sure to get there. I also, by the way, had an eye doctor appointment before, Dan, and I was worried that I was going to have to go to Baskin Palmer and have eye surgery because it was not going well at the beginning, but we were able to avoid that. So I went out. Obviously, I didn't step on the line. You can't step on the line.
He hopped over.
Went out there. I hopped over it. I went out to the mound, and, it's a surreal moment where thousands upon tens of thousands of people are chanting your name as you're out there.
That's not what was happening
at FIU.
That's not the crowd that was out there. You were not doing this at the World Baseball Classic.
Thank you,
to be
Jess.
a fly on the wall, or actually they were outside.
Finally.
So to be a fly in the air when Billy and his dad are outside and his dad's walking off the distance. Come on, can we all just visualize this? This is adorable.
What did your dad have to say about the first pitch?
He told me that if I had thrown that to Mike Stanton, he would have struck out.
Oh, he's right.
Okay,
Stanton.
That's true.
I mean, that's true.
That's sinker
absolutely
away,
true.
blowing
Yeah.
away.
Let me jump in here. Let me jump in here.
Yeah.
Billy, I think you've been unfairly judged.
Thank you.
Because I just watched this George W. Bush pitch. He threw it right down the middle. It hung right there, man. Whoever
It was a two-seamer.
That thing started out on the outer edge and worked back to the middle.
No, man.
Kyle Ripken would have hit that out of the park in an All-Star
700
game.
feet at least. 700 feet at least. Billy's guys are chasing it. See, it's sinking. It's going away. Guys are chasing it. And then in the dirt.
I don't think you
Billy's
understand
pitch.
the point of the
Billy,
first pitch.
No. I've heard from many people that was a very good 0-2 pitch.
Great pitch.
Billy, can you tell me what you were aiming for? Like when you imagined how this was going to go, did you say to yourself getting up there, I need to throw it high to make sure not to bounce it? I need to kind of try and throw it high toward the catcher's head, or I'm afraid of throwing it over the catcher's head? Like what? A lot of people get scared in that moment from the pressure.
Yeah.
What was your strategy and what did you imagine?
Well, you know me, I'm Joe Cool. So I went out there, ice running through my veins, and I said, let me keep my composure. If anything, let me not do too good, because then people will say, oh my God, like, is Billy like actually a real person? So, you know, maybe it scraped the dirt. Maybe the catcher. Some people are saying, not me, of course. I'm very grateful for the entire experience.
Please answer my question.
Dr. Jessel.
Please
Scott Carr.
answer my question.
Some people say that the catcher was a little bit far back, and maybe that's why it could have kind of scraped the dirt. I wouldn't say that.
Please
I thought
answer
that they
my
were
question.
incredible.
Some people are saying.
Well, so I went out there, and obviously you have to throw high. But again, I didn't practice on a mound, so it's an incline. So, you know, it goes very fast, Dan. When you hit the mound, you don't want to be too look at me. You want to just get through it. As Mike Fuentes, who was there recording, said, "Wow, I spent 2.5 hours for 48 seconds of video."
Well, I mean,
he told me.
If we're gonna be a little critical, Mike Fuentes is a little slow getting behind you. Not a great camera angle.
Also,
you know?
Billy,
I mean,
why'd you
gotta-
fast pitch?
You kind of fast pitched him. He was kind of getting the scene of you walking up there. You got up to the mound and started pitching. I was like, I wanted
Pitch
the
clock,
angle.
guys.
I wanted the angle from right
Thank
behind
you.
Billy.
Okay,
and I
so
didn't
here's
get
the
it.
thing. We did talk. We didn't really set up how the camera situation was going to go, right? And the game was delayed by rain, so we're already late to starting. Then they announced me to a crowd of people who don't know or care who I am. So then I'm like, do I wave? What do I do? So I did like a little awkward, like, because no one really cares who I am or cares that I'm there. And then I was just like anything else, like, let me just get this done as quickly as possible so they can get on with the game people actually want to see.
Billy, were you hurried because you were scared and self-conscious?
Maybe I didn't like actively say, let me do this quick. I just went out there. I said, make sure you don't step on the line. Make sure you don't bounce it. Then I bounced it. And then, you saw me kind of defeated. And then everybody was very nice to me, telling me that it wasn't as disappointing as I thought it was, which they all lied to me. I'm just surrounded by yes men and liars.
Billy, I'm going to say this also. I think you were under more pressure to throw this than George W. Bush was in his first
Okay,
game.
Chris Cody,
I
what
don't
do you
disagree.
I'm
I mean,
telling
it wasn't
you.
a rivalry game.
Chris Cody, what do you have
The
for
real
Billy?
impressive thing, the most impressive thing.
World Series.
Yeah, it was a Diamondbacks.
No,
I mean, who
yeah,
cares?
first of all, yeah. Second of all, everyone was rooting for him to succeed. Billy had a bunch of people rooting for him to fail who are in this room. Who have a platform.
Pony sponsors
of
were out in
millions.
full force.
They always are. It's crazy.
Oh, I saw some at the Heat game, by the way.
They love.
that later.
They're everywhere, man.
The haters.
Billy, also,
You're one of them.
No, impossible. Billy, why didn't you go to Tamiami Park, literally right across the street, and pitch from the mound there a little bit?
Speaking of Tamiami Park, get this. So I'm at the game and pitching in the second pitcher to enter the game for FIU, Orlando Hernandez. El Duque's son is on the team. Also on the team, Joe Girardi's son. And after the game, Joe was there. Well, he was there the whole game, presumably, but I saw him there after the
Did he
game.
scout
It's a
you?
who's who. What's that?
Is he going to sign you to a contract somewhere?
I don't know.
Is he scouting
Maybe
you?
they did ask me. I will say this about the athletic department, and again, Scott Carr, athletic
All right,
director.
that's enough.
And
I'm
president.
done with the FIU.
They asked me.
athletic
They asked me if I
department.
still have eligibility left, and
Thank
I said,
you, Billy.
I think I do.
Appreciate
That's
your
a great
time.
line.
El
Appreciate-
Duque, last night you were the Duque.
Thank you, Billy. Appreciate your time. No David Sampson with us this week. You can catch him tomorrow with John Skipper talking about an assortment of business sports stories. I have told you before, and I will tell you again, that when Skipper and Sampson get together, they cover the terrain of sports business that many of you are interested in better and with more expertise than anyone I've heard in this space. You can hear that tomorrow as part of our Friday content. But last night, Amin El-Hassan went to the Heat game.
Yeah, I did.
And I see that Jeremy Taché, who does a lot of stuff for the Heat, seems to be taking a bit of a homerific victory lap on the Heat are shooting better over the last few games. They have, shot over 40% from three in what, Jeremy?
Capitulate, Dan. It's time to capitulate.
They have shot over 40% from three in back-to-back games for the first time. I think it was the first season that it's happened. It happened 7 times in the first 61 games, and now it's happened 6 times in the last 10 games. I don't know the truer sample, but last year this team was one of the best shooting teams in the league. The year before that, it was one of the best shooting teams in the league. This year, it's been an unbelievably worst in the league shitty shooting team.
Jeremy is just in the corner here, still heckling you off air. Weird, huh? How's it feel, Dan?
What is he heckling me about?
This is a turning point in the Heat season.
Okay,
Dan.
who could have seen this coming?
They beat
Jeremy
up on the
did.
Utah Jazz.
And Memphis.
They beat up on a Memphis team without its star player that's been terrible on the road all season long. This is the moment.
Amin, you do what with small samples, large samples? They have been for 60-something games this season terrible at shooting.
So I would respond to Mike over here by saying every great stat you see team-wise, like, oh, they're number 1 in offensive rating and stuff like that, it's all built on beating up on teams. You got to do that first before you can. It's not like, oh, but against the good teams, we do. No, you got to do that first. So this is a nice kind of, thank God, it looks like it's starting to come together, but
do you believe it? When it's 6 of the last 10 over 40%, that's a real small sample. Anyone in the sport can do that.
Who do we think? I'd tell you who we think. Chad Kroger and Nickelback. Because that's what really springboarded this season.
All right, so Jimmy Butler, for those of you who do not know, after the Orlando game, because he's an asshole,
never made it as a poor man,
decided to flood the locker room with Nickelback.
Wise man.
Never made it as a rich man, baby.
No.
This is how you remind me how I really am.
You got some of them right.
2 Americas.
Got a few words right. Nickelback singing it in the locker room. He was punishing his teammates. Again, that
What
game.
song? What song was he singing?
I don't know Nickelback's collection.
Yes, you do.
I know. I probably know it if I heard it. I don't know it.
You
I can't
guys,
recite titles.
Look at this photograph.
That actually sounded pretty good. You sounded pretty
Cause we
decent there.
all wanna be big rock stars and a 100 and a 15 cars, a 100 and a hot red tank, a 100 and a 5 and a tune-up with the movie stars and a VIP with the movie car. And a big down down on the beach ball. Hey, I'm a rock star.
So Jimmy Butler was singing something like that in the locker room. And if you remember the details of that game, I think, did he score 38 in that game? He made a 3 at the end of regulation with 2 guys on him, a ridiculous 3. And then in overtime, they got squashed by double digits. And in the locker room, he is alleged to have played Nickelback loudly, which is a human resources violation. Like he should be suspended for that.
But this could become a thing. The way that Pepas did, the way that the Rats did in 1996 for the Florida Panthers. And if this starts to run, the arena in Miami-Dade should absolutely be blasting Nickelback.
Every fourth quarter when they get like a big lead at a crucial time.
Never made it as a wise man. Couldn't cut it as a poor man, baby.
The crowd just like,
yeah! Man.
Brendan Tobin's like Instagram living it.
This is what you do, Chris. You play those bars and then you cut it right before this is how, and the whole crowd's supposed to sing it.
You're mine.
You ever seen like a Detroit Red Wings
knows
game?
that song.
No, right before.
I'm telling you.
Like you could say sorry.
That's good. I just got
story.
goosebumps.
I've been hard. I've been hard.
Everybody.
Okay. But at a Detroit Red Wings game, Dan, I don't know if you know this. They'll play just a city boy, and then they'll cut it, and the arena will go, born and raised in South Detroit. And like that's one of the few hair-raising moments where I'm like, oh, game ops. You got me. You got me there.
Were all of you as flabbergasted and stunned as I was to see a number near 140 on the Heat side of the board?
Yeah. Yeah, it's 138.
But all of you had the same reaction I did. Since when, against whom in this league? Why? You're a 100-point team. You're no longer the team that runs up and down the court and makes a ton of threes and scores a $138.
I saw that score, and I assumed that Jimmy Butler went to the line 74 times.
So
did
Mike Schur, who kept texting about that.
He did all night. It's so annoying. I'm telling you, what's happening with Mike Schur, he is watching this Heat team with a hatred that is totally unreasonable. He cares about hating them more than anybody cares about what the Heat are presently doing this season.
He needs a life.
He does.
Thinks about us
write a show.
way too often.
We're living rent free.
He's got a big life, though. I don't know how he has the
Texting Amin about the
capacity.
Heat on a Wednesday.
Always. And it's yesterday it was he screenshotted Jimmy Butler's box score line without like the tags of what each thing was, and he said 8 of 9. What do you think that is?
And these Heat games take place at like 4 p.m. his time. He should still be at work. What's he doing?
He'd be picking up his kids from school.
Yeah.
He's just counting
Go record
Jimmy
a podcast.
Butler's free throws. That's all he is doing. And Mike Ryan can't be lured back. Mike, you are considered a traitor.
I can be lured back in through the power of butt rock. This is how I'm back.
This is how Mike is back.
I don't believe that Heat fans want you back. I believe that you're
Nickelback.
I believe you're an enemy.
I am Nickelback.
I believe you're an enemy of the Heat fan base these days after being a voice for the annoying Heat fan.
Why? Because I've been proven right. Kyle Lowry is butt. Victor Oladipo didn't play last night, and all of a sudden they're winning by 20?
Kyle Lowry did, though.
Yeah, but whatever. He's still butt.
I'm Team
He's
Ryan
a lot of butt.
Cortez. He's been heckling you on Twitter all week.
Because they beat him. Okay, Ryan. All right. He goes quiet sometimes.
You're dead in this town, though.
All right.
Still.
But you know what? I'm Nickelback.
What lures you,
I'm
Nickelback? What lures you?
Butt rock.
No, you're not Nickelback yet.
Ryan Cortez. Look at this photograph.
You're being
Every time I do it makes me laugh.
You're being sarcastic. What lures you? You'll watch the playoff games. You'll care about the playoff games, but
If
right
they
now,
make the playoffs, yes.
But you do not believe that they will do anything in the playoffs. You are hopeless. You are not hopeful.
Right. Yeah, they're not as good as the other teams in the East. What do we do? But I do want fun. And I do want Game Ops to blast Canada's greatest alt rock band.
But you say they're not as good as the other teams in the East. But if
Salute to Bare Naked Ladies, by the way.
Mike, if they shoot 40% from 3, they are.
Yeah, they are the team that they were last year, which if you put this year's East in last year's Eastern Conference playoffs, I don't think the Miami Heat get to a Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals because I think that the East is that much better. I think they probably get eliminated by the Sixers, even though that's a loser basketball town.
I mean, Philadelphia went into Cleveland last night, and there really is a separation. Stan Van Gundy says that the top 3 teams in the East can all win the title and expects over the West for the top 3 teams in the East to be better than everyone else. Philadelphia is a good deal better.
I don't want every Heat conversation that I have to just harken back to what I said this offseason, but it's true, guys. They couldn't afford to stay the way that they were, which was almost good enough. They had to improve. Instead of improving, they got worse while their competition improved. Please, the Nickelback is distracting.
Dan, I've got an update for you.
I see you have written a bunch of things on a whiteboard. You look like an assistant coach that has written a great amount of data on the whiteboard. What is that data you have written down in front of you?
There are 5 different instances this season where the Heat have shot better than 40% from 3 in consecutive games. The first instance, December 6th, December 8th, versus Detroit, loss, versus Clippers, win. The second time, December 20th, 23rd, 26th, versus Chicago, loss, versus Indiana, loss, versus Minnesota, win. The third instance, 30th, 31st, and the second, loss at Denver, win at Utah, win at Clippers. Fourth, January 16th, January 18th, January 20th, loss, win, loss. And then the last time it happened, February 15th, February 24th, either end of the All-Star break, both losses.
Too long, didn't read, but bad news for the Clippers if we square off against them.
What you're saying is they can shoot 40% from 3 and still not be good enough.
Yes, they've lost a lot of those back-to-back things where they went into streaks of shooting well. But I think things are different, guys.
You should have just held up the whiteboard and said, "Look at this photograph."
Yeah, like Katie Porter over here.
Why are things different?
I think, for one, Jimmy's assertiveness. I know we talked about it yesterday as maybe that's suffocating, but last night was probably the best version of that, right? Where Jimmy comes out from opening whistle.
Fueled by butt rock.
Yeah, fueled by butt rock and saying, we're going to set a tone here tonight. And then through that, Bam played great and Tyler played great. And I think that's kind of a huge key beyond shots being made. Gabe Vincent making shots made a difference. I think it's important for those three guys to play together well at the same time. The other thing was, I know Lowry's kind of been a little bit of a punching bag, a nice, soft, doughy punching bag. But him playing off the bench makes the second unit look a lot better than it's looked in a long time.
Do you think Jimmy's listening to Hero?
Tyler Hero or Hero like the
No,
song?
Chad Kroger's Hero off the Spider-Man 2 soundtrack.
How's that go?
And they say that a hero could save us. I'm not gonna stand here waiting.
That's not Nickelback?
No, it's Chad Kroger broke off on his own,
Oh.
partnered up with a singer from Saliva, and they gave us a butt rock anthem on Spider-Man 2.
Nice.
I am unfamiliar with the phrase butt rock, even though you have announced it.
Hold on to the wings of the eagles, watch as we fly away.
Tobey Maguire's hair fluttering.
That was 3.
It's a long-
Well, his hair always fluttered, but
No,
3 is
the
when he
long
had
hair.
the emo.
Yeah.
3.
What is
The fly
butt,
never
butt rock? Who is in the classification of butt rock?
Nickelback.
Nickelback.
Chad Kroger with the guy from
Seether,
Saliva.
Saliva. Chevelle, though that may be unfair.
What is butt rock?
It's
I've never-
It's that song where they're singing. The voices all sound like this, Dan.
Buck Cherry. Ooh, Buck Cherry is butt rock.
You gotta give me some examples. I don't know
All
the
right,
names,
hang on.
man.
I got a butt rock playlist that
well,
that
you
Chris
gotta-
Whittingham and I sent
You
to
have
each
yet
other.
to
I
answer.
I have not recognized a name of a band other than Nickelback.
But you know the songs, though, right?
What is Saliva?
Saliva.
I don't know Saliva either, but do you know the songs?
I do know all
click,
the Nickelback
click,
songs.
boom.
yeah.
Going down in the stereo. Hear me on the radio.
Is
Click, click, boom.
is Fred Durst butt rock?
Limp
No, that's
Bizkit?
new metal.
That's new metal?
Yeah, don't conflate.
It's like NU new.
Yeah.
Oh,
Please,
jeez.
Here's
please.
my
Mike,
Spotify
Mike,
playlist.
I
Butt
ju-
rock
could you-
anthems.
Mike, just be quiet for
There's
a
a
second.
dude with
You
a
did ask
monster
him what it
energy
was.
drink.
Christ almighty, just
You
be
I'm
quiet for a
answering-
second. For a second.
Would you be quiet?
One.
I'm answering your question. This is what butt rock is.
You still haven't told me what butt rock
I'm
is.
fucking trying
You're
here,
not
Dan Le
telling
Batard.
me. You're
It's Daughtry.
It's a genre of rock.
It's 3 doors down, baby.
It's like woke. You can't define it.
It's Puddle of Mud.
Let's play that sound, since Roy mentioned it, of a conservative author whose name escapes me at the moment, who was caught on an online show. She just kept saying woke again and again and again. And finally, a host asked the question that you want asked of somebody who uses the word woke as a weapon, when the history of this is woke used to belong to black people, to the hip hop community. Woke used to be stay awake to systemic racism. But she is asked the follow-up question. You keep saying woke. What do you mean by woke? And she realizes in the middle of it, while trying to define it poorly, that she's about to go viral.
Of Americans consider themselves very liberal, and probably fewer of them consider themselves to be woke. And so, you know, when we
what
talk
does that
about
mean
traditional
to you? Would you mind defining woke? Because it's come up a couple times, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
So, I mean, woke is sort of the idea that this is going to be one of those moments that goes viral. I mean, woke is something that's very hard to define, and we've spent an entire chapter defining it. It is sort of the understanding that we need to totally reimagine and redo society in order to create hierarchies of oppression. It's hard to explain in a 15-second soundbite.
Yeah, look, your time.
Yeah.
She's like, you took 45. Take your time.
It was 40 seconds, 40 deeply uncomfortable seconds from the online show The Rising.
It's you know, This is going to go viral, isn't it?
At the 13-second mark, she realizes that she is drowning. And
I can relate to that
Chris
fear.
Cody, I was just going to say, you can relate to the leaking
Of
of
like
confidence.
losing your thought like mid-sentence
No,
and
but-
like, oh God.
No, and here I am, yes. So let's go ahead. Let's just play the discomfort of all of that because it's a very simple question. It's a complicated answer, and it is 40 awkward seconds.
Of Americans consider themselves very liberal, and probably fewer of them consider themselves to be woke. And so, you know, when we
what
talk
does that
about
mean
traditional
to you? Would you mind defining woke? Because it's come up a couple times, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
So, I mean, woke is sort of the idea that
Right here.
This is going to be one of those moments that goes viral. I mean, woke is something that's very hard to define, and we've spent an entire chapter defining it. It is sort of the understanding that we need to totally reimagine and redo society in order to create hierarchies of oppression. Sorry, it's hard to explain in a 15-second soundbite.
Yeah, look, your time.
We did a whole chapter on it, yet I can't say a single sentence
No,
of
but
it.
I
The
like
entire chapter just says the word black in it.
Yes.
you, Chris. You hit it on the head earlier. She said it's hard to do in 15 seconds, and the host is like, "Take your time."
You're like,
Yeah,
no
all
one's
day.
rushing you.
But
But Rock,
the spot
Rock.
that the spot that Chris Cody recognized is the last 20 seconds of that. She was already imagining everyone watching it and laughing at her. And she doesn't have the confidence to state anything clearly. All her expertise evaporates. Whatever that chapter said that she's referencing that she wants us to go to, she lost all of the information and confidence that she had 25 seconds earlier.
Dan, my favorite part is towards the end. There's a moment where she pauses, and you hear that exhale of. I love it.
It's a victory.
It was an exasperated. Very few people ever have articulated exactly what they were feeling better in less than a single syllable than that large exhale sound.
It just felt like a victory to me. Because this person over here tell me who I am as a black man, as a black person in America. This white woman over here. Woo-hoo-hoo, take that L. I'm happy about that. Take that L, girl.
After she did that breath, it would have been epic if she just came up and said, "Never made it as a wise man, couldn't cut it as a poor man, stealing, tired of living like a blind man."
This is how you remind me. Hello.
Look at this chapter on woke.